Today's guest is Wanganui comedy favourite Kajun Brooking. Kajun has rose to fame over the past 3 years, taking to any stage she can, having the audience in stitches. He's performed at the Wanganui Comedy Gala and recently did his solo show at the New Zealand Comedy Festival. You can often find him trying new material at the open mic at Porridge Watson. He's incredibly clever and an absolute crowd favourite. We are so proud to watch a fellow Wanganui comedian succeed in the comedy scene. Please enjoy listening to Kajun recount his journey growing up around cigarettes. And at the end of the episode, don't forget to fill out the survey for a chance to win a pair of Bose AirPods. Just click the link below. Kajun, how you doing?
Good.
Great. Thanks so much for being on our podcast.
Yeah, great to see you, man. Thanks for coming out.
So we obviously, we've said before that you're actually not a smoker, nor have you ever been, but we're going to come at this a little bit different with you and just talk about your experience having been raised around cigarettes.
Yeah, yep.
So can you tell us about your first memory of a cigarette?
My first memory, it's actually a hard case, and I don't even think I've talked about it much to people. I don't think I've even had a reason. I told Tini about it on the way here because I knew that this was happening, and I said, babe, the first time, I told her about it. I'll never actually forget the first time. It was the one and only time.
No one ever forgets their first.
Yeah, because that was the last. That was the last. So what happened, I had two cousins, and we're in a place called Flaxmere in Hawke's Bay. For those who know, you know how lovely Flaxmere is. And what had happened was my two cousins, I was staying with them for the weekend. One of the cousins that I was staying with, he was like my best friend sort of cousin back then. Yeah, my cousin Ruben. And him and his little brother, we were like 8 or 9. And they already seasoned smokers. It was, I don't know how,
wow.
but they already knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
So they stole a couple of ciggies from their parents. And we went across the road from the house where they stayed. There's a park. For those of you in Flaxmere, if you're listening, it's a park that's along Flaxmere Ave, the big one. And we went over there, and there were some bushes, and we sort of went around the side of the bushes, and they sparked up. And they were smoking their cigarettes, really well, they kind of knew what they were doing. And then when it got to me, I had a massive drag on the ciggy, one big hit. I didn't even know what I was doing. But, I remember just having the biggest drag because I wanted to be the one that, took the most sort of thing. And, man, it almost killed me.
Mm.
Yeah, it messed me up. I was choking. I actually choked. I remember I was crying. Not properly crying. I don't think that I was punking out or anything, but I had tears coming out of my eyes. I was choking for what felt like forever.
And what did your cousins do? Did they just laugh at you?
Oh, they laughed their asses off. Just like that. But they laughed so hard that they were crying.
Right.
Everyone was crying.
They said there's 3 of us here, one of us got a ciggy, and they were all just crying and laughing. It took me a while to recover.
Mm.
Yeah. So what happened after that is sort of when I did recover, I actually beat the shit out of my cousins. Both of them, I just couldn't handle it, and even when I was choking and crying, I was looking at them laughing. I was thinking, man, you're so going to get it when I recover. And so, after I sort of recovered, I just gave them both a hiding in the park, which was pretty common in Flaxmere those days.
Right. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah. And I was talking to Tinika because I still remember when we were walking back to their house and they were still crying, from the hiding, and I was going, shut up, we're almost out, and they still hadn't quite recovered by the time we got to the house. So I got them to just sit out there and sort of get themselves together before we went inside.
Compose yourself.
Yeah, otherwise I was probably going to get another hiding.
Right.
Yeah. So
everyone's crying and having hiding.
Yeah, I started promising them things. Well, man, you can go first on the game, bro. Or I'll go get your big lollies. Come on, just stop crying, bro. Yeah. So that was my first memory, and that put me off for life.
For life,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. No, that was it.
Because a lot of people talk about they basically talk about that exact thing happening to them the first time, but they just work through it.
Really?
Yeah.
I suppose so, but
I don't think many people are having that first cigarette and being like, oh yeah, that was
yeah. Well, I was surprised.
First time's always awkward, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, my cousins, one of them was the same age as me at the time, and then the other one was a year younger, or he was in the vicinity anyway. But they were blowing rings and stuff,
Right.
And rings was coming out, and I was like, "Damn, these guys have got tricks," And then,
but did your parents smoke?
Oh yeah.
Oh right, so
right.
you.
Mum did.
Right.
Dad, he smoked. He just smoked weed. But he was never, I don't remember him ever smoking cigarettes. But I come from a family where on my mother's side, like you guys know the jokes, on mum's side, it's the moldies. And then on the other side, on my dad's side, church, Mormons. So on my mum's side, everybody smoked.
Right.
Like everybody.
Right.
Yeah. So I grew up around it big time. And like I got childhood memories all involve cigarette smoking.
Like smoked in the house.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Because today's world, I look back on how it was when I was a kid, and it's different. Like I remember when it comes to cigarette smoke, I remember we used to cruise up to the East Coast. We used to go back to Ruatoria, to the Marae and stuff. And I remember being in the car. The weather wasn't so great outside, and windows up, and everyone smoking cigarettes in the car, and we were kids, But it wasn't out of the ordinary.
No.
But I remember being in the car, like thinking, damn, someone put a window down or so. Yeah. But no one really cared back then, it wasn't a thing. Yeah. I didn't even think we were wearing seatbelts, Like, like it was lawless back then.
Yeah. Like, how did we all survive? But we did.
And the other big thing we'll say, for instance, with smoking is I also grew up in housey halls. You guys ever hang out in housey halls?
No.
Of course you haven't. You're bloody pikey out. but like, say for instance, on my mum's side, they were all into gambling as well. And so housey, which is like bingo, was super popular with Māoris and Pacific Islanders as well. But on the other side, my Mormon family, they owned a housey hall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so my
like full circle for you.
Yeah. So my grandmother, she was quite entrepreneurial and a real smart woman. And because housey was so popular back then, she played a little bit of housey herself, but she wasn't a smoker. So because they owned the housey hall, they had areas upstairs where we used to hang out as kids. But when housey was on, there were no restrictions on smoking. And so that place was insane. Kids, I remember,
like a cloud of smoke.
Like literally, the housey's going on down here. You look at the roof is just lined with smoke, and everyone's just, the whole time. And the other thing was we always used to remember is that we used to be able to stay, hang out, and watch TV, and that the kids, you had to go up some stairs to get there. And you'd go up the stairs and you'd have to go through that fog, like get through there. And by
like an airplane where you go through
the
clouds trying to above it.
Trying to break through to clearer skies, But even then, same thing with the car and with the housey hall. Looking back, you're literally passive smoking anyway. Even when you're going up those stairs, you're kind of, and getting your nicotine fix as you go through there. So,
So, are there any other funny stories around smoking?
Not that I can think of. I think I've suppressed most of the most of the smoking memories here and there.
What about your family now? Like you said, like your mum was a smoker. Were your siblings smokers, or your cousins were?
Yeah, siblings, not really.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I think one of my brothers, well, maybe two of my brothers have smoked in the past, and I think.
What about your mum now? She managed to quit?
She has, but vapes every now and then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I've sort of, found an alternative. Yeah. But I mean, mum, as far back as I can remember, mum was always smoking. And the other thing about back in the day was, for me, growing up in Hawke's Bay, I used to be the runner of the household when I stayed with my nan and my mum because I was the oldest. So all that kind of means is whenever something needed to be got down at the shop, I'd be the one that would take the list down and go and get it. So back then I was buying smokes. We used to go down there.
And how old were you?
I don't know. It was most of my life. Yeah, like even when I was like 6, 7, 8, 9.
Like you go down there with a note, bring I need this stuff.
With a note. I'd go down there with a note, quite often. But then I built a rapport with like the store owner. I knew him and stuff. I just go down there and just, packet of ciggies for Nan.
And so, I mean, that's so great that you had that experience where you didn't like it because, like I reckon a lot of people in that situation were like, grab one for me, 19 for Nan.
Yeah. Well, the other strange thing is that even growing up, I didn't like it. Yeah, and it was the same kind of experiences like the housey hall and being in the car, just being surrounded by it all the time. And the biggest thing was like being broke because I knew that we were broke. And like we didn't have things that everybody else had, and we didn't have all the things that we should have had.
Yeah,
but we always had cigarettes,
right?
Like they were always getting bought, and I was like, this doesn't add up. Like I was like how come we don't have chocolate biscuits like this dude, but we got cigarettes? Yeah. And because of that, I started putting two and two together as a kid, and I was kind of like, okay, I think I know. Like this shit's actually driving my family poor, or or the money that could be used on other things, it's going towards these things, and I picked that up quite early. You can't do anything about it, so I go down the shop and grab Nan her ciggies because that's what Nan wanted. And because of that, growing up, I thought to myself, I'm not doing that.
Wow.
I just put it to him, I was like, why are you doing it? I didn't understand addiction back then. So I was just kind of like, why are they doing this stuff? Why are you spending this money? It seemed to be a lot of money. Like you're going down the shop quite often. So I thought to myself, I'm never doing that. when I grow up.
Yeah, well,
But then next minute, all of a sudden, I'm in the park, coughing my brains out, bashing my cousins.
but you only did it once.
Yeah, but I still did it. Like, it was,
Yeah.
like, I'd already made up my mind earlier, but then when the cousins, you know, like, we got some ciggies, let's go. And I was like, oh, yeah, all right. So they could have gone either way for me.
Yeah, hard out. Yeah.
So, like, you've got 2 kids who are teenagers. What would you say to them if they started?
I'd give them a hiding.
You know you can't do that.
No, I can't. It sucks.
Yeah.
We're not living in the 80s anymore.
Yeah.
Seatbelts and...
I don't think I could give my kids hiding. So have you seen my kids?
Yeah.
My son's a unit. Yeah, and they would probably laugh at me and to do nothing about it. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. The way we've raised them, we've raised them in a way where I would be highly surprised if they ever took it up. You know, and I'm not saying that it comes down to parenting. Like, I'm not blaming people's parents for people smoking. The way we've raised our children, I would be highly surprised if I ever saw a cigarette in their mouths. And then even if I did, I'd just snatch it straight out. But because I understand addiction, so I guess, you know, if they were smoking, they wouldn't be able to do it around me or Tinika. No way. They wouldn't not be able to do it around the house because I'd pick up on it. But if they did do it, I'd be awfully disappointed.
I feel like now it's not really even smoking with that age group, though. Like, it's vaping. Yeah,
it could be. Even vaping. Like, I'm not saying that my kids probably haven't vaped. I don't know, but because I know kids do it at high school and all that sort of stuff. But I'll still be highly disappointed, and I would still do whatever I could to discourage them. Because
vaping's so hard to catch as well. Like Courtney was saying when we spoke with her, that, you know, she's like, if she goes into her son's room, he might just be burning like an essential oil. Like, you know, she doesn't know he's vaping or has done this. So it is harder to...
You could have like a packet of Hubba Bubba on the thing, but you're sitting in there doing the strawberry one. And you walk in the chewing gum. But the thing is, you know, I was raised on the street, so I'm not a punk. I'll figure it out straight away, you know. And my kids have been raised in a way too where they don't have a poker face like we did, you know. So
like, they've never needed one.
They've never needed one, but they probably haven't had to actually use one over the years. So if they tried to like lie or anything like that, they'd be really poor at it. You know, I'd know straight away.
Well, that's great. It's really like nice to hear from like the perspective of someone who's sort of been raised around it, but actually didn't partake in it themselves.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people we've talked to, they have those things, those motivations, or those things you put in your pockets, you know. So I mean, you kind of you didn't have to go through the addiction and then try to hold on to those things. You had an experience where it was kind of disgusting, and then you realized this is making my family poor, you know. So those were kind of your cornerstones or your things that you kind of held on to never get into it. Would that be, you know, would you say that's the case?
Yeah, most definitely. And I do remember years later, I caught back up with my cousins. I think it was like one of my brothers, like it was the 21st or something like that, one of my brothers and cousins came along. We brought it up and we were laughing about it. The funny thing was, though, one of my cousins still smokes, the old one, but the younger one, he's not a smoker. And for those that are wanting to quit, I know you can't beat people up these days, but you know what? I think they're hiding like sort of, it was the motivation that my, you know, I did good that day, you know. I beat the smoking out of him.
He owes you as well.
So if anyone's trying to quit, we can just send Kajun over there and give you a hiding.
The thing is, I'm so lucky that happened that day, and that I didn't enjoy it. Because the environment that I grew up in, you know, it probably would have been cool to have a ciggy or you know, growing up in the hood, and that it was part of sort of who you are. Or if you had a ciggy, it made you a little bit harder, you know, it made you a little bit tougher or something like that, you know. And
so do you not feel that peer pressure, or you just...
because I did it once and hated it. And there's no way I was going to let anybody else influence me to do it again. And the other thing is, when it came to like peer pressure or stuff like that, like I always kind of thought like that I was the man anyway. You know? And like then I was like, bro, you're not even smoking, man. Bro, you got to smoke, you know. I'd just be like, shut up, dude, I'm the man anyway. Yeah, beat it, fool. But I think one of the biggest things was...
That's a good tip. Just think you're the man.
Yeah. Well, not just that, but I didn't actually get pressure from peers because no matter who the person was, I don't care what they're saying, you know, or if people are trying to pressure into something, you know, I was always my own person. So I'd be like, nah, bro. But I'm lucky that I didn't start and I didn't get addicted. One thing I will say is that I'm not a quitter. I don't quit nothing, man. If I'm going to do something, I'm all in. And I'm all in for life. So if I had got hooked, I'll probably would have been sitting having a ciggy while we did this, you know, because that's one thing I don't quit.
All right, on that note, we might end that there. Thank you so much for being on our podcast, Kajun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks,
really, really great stuff. We hope you enjoyed that episode of Comedians Quitting. Please don't forget to fill out the survey in the link below for your chance to win a pair of Bose AirPods. Every episode listened to and every survey filled out is another chance to win.